Peace. What's the science, universal family? On another glorious day of the science of living mathematics. And today is a special day. Why is that? Because it's my physical degree. For those that don't know, a physical degree is your birthday. Today, I turned 39. It's my new year. The beginning of the year for me. What I like to do on my birthdays is more inward than outward. Instead of going out partying and doing all types of stuff, either obviously go out to you here and there, but it's more of a relaxation type of thing for me, more of a meditative contemplation type of deal for me, where I look at things I've done throughout the year, things that I can do better and improve on. All right, so that's what it is. And today's the 5th day of the month. And what is 5 in the supreme mathematics? That is power or refinement. And your 5th letter in the alphabet, it's E. E in the supreme alphabet stands for equality. So let's break that down. First, you got to think about what is power. Power is the ability to do work. Power, you could say, is electricity. You know, the force of will. How strong is your will? They say when you overpower somebody, I have power over somebody. Those type of things, right? But overall, is the ability to get things done, to do something done, right? Refinement is to be able to bring back to its purest form. You know, you could break down the words into refine the mental, right? And that goes hand in hand with every degree. Every degree that comes before it helps you to build up and be ready for the new degree. And the new degree is going to help you understand the previous degrees that you just finished going through. So it's a whole circle coming back. All right, so remember how I said you go out to your journey and don't forget to come back home. With that, you sometimes got to come home and shower. Right? When you come home, you shower, and it's to get rid of all the impurities. And that's something that you're going to do, because as you're out there, you want to be able to not get influenced by these things. And having that power, that ability to bring yourself out there, right? Because first you think about it, first you plan it, then you put it into motion, you make adjustments. You know, the understanding, you make adjustments, you see it clearly now for what it is, not what it appears to be. So you make adjustments based off on that. Then you apply this to your way of life. This is what allows you to be free from what? The constraints that you put on yourself besides others. Because again, it's not always people outside of you that have you locked in a cage, we'll say. Sometimes it's you, based on drama whatsoever. So now you have the ability to get it done. Now you know. You could get it done. And sometimes, instead of using power, sometimes you just got to deal with refinement. That's why it's power or refinement. And what we do know is that absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? Because if you don't have the proper conditioning to keep yourself, let's say, without faltering, you know, what's the word that I'm looking for? To have that determined idea to not stray away from the path. You know what I mean? To not get corrupted so easily. You know, because if you think about it, if you have all this overwhelming power, let's say you have the power of Superman, I guarantee you people will be doing things very differently, right? So what keeps you in check is that refinement. You have to be able to know, like, listen, we're coming from a dead world. And what I mean about a dead world is dead in the mind, where we're just walking zombies and we just act out what our bodily desires want, right? So being able to just kind of sit back and be like, whoa, wait a minute. You know, if I do this and I have untold ability to get things done with no repercussions whatsoever, right? How many people like to think about power? That's what I'm getting at. You know, what's going to hold me back from now adding the morality piece into it versus I know I can do it, but should I do it? And that's where that comes in. This is what the refinement is very important about. Right? So then you look at in the Supreme Alphabet, E is for equality. And I know those that have been following me will know that equality is the sixth principle in Supreme Mathematics. So why is it equality in the Supreme Alphabet? Because that power to be able to refine is what allows you to do with that equality. You have to be able to check yourself many times, and you can't do that if you just are drunk with power, drunk with this ability, and not know should you get it done or should you wait, in the sense of should you come in a warm current or should you come in a cold current. And what I mean by a cold current is that type of, that real cold heart is like, yeah, this is how you got to do it, versus like, yo, take your time, you know what I'm saying? Just come to me when you get a chance, right? There's a difference between how you do it. And sometimes warm current doesn't work. Sometimes you do got to come in a cold current. And many times a cold current doesn't work, especially when dealing with children. If you are striving to instill certain principles in the young children, your children, let's say, you can't come at them like this is how you're going to do it because I said so, and I'm the father and I'm the parent and I will know more. That is not going to work. Think about how when your parents spoke to you in that manner, you kind of just shut down. You didn't listen, so you went to look for an outside source to be able to help you out. And if you're too warm and you're always okay, it's okay, and kid is like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and you get getting slapped, like those shows that I see, moms getting slapped, dads getting slapped on all type of stuff, and then there's no repercussions whatsoever. You got to learn how to balance that out. There has to be equality within that. Every degree has a principle of equality in it, because too much of anything is bad when you don't know what to do with it. You have to be able to process this as your own time. One thing that we do say is you can't feed a baby steak. You have to give him milk, right? Because a baby is not able, one, doesn't have teeth, so he can't chew, and two, the stomach is not built yet to be able to start digesting something so solid like that. So you have to know where you stand at, and the only way to go through that is to have refinement. Especially you out there battling the four devils in your mind. You out there battling and stuff like that. You got to deal with the trauma, the past trauma that you're dealing with, whatever bad habits you got. And, obviously these things come and go and you can fall victim to it. And be like, not today. It's true. It's not even that serious. I'm not going to do it today. And that could be one of those devils of sloth just slowing you down. And you got to be able to deal with that refinement when you need to. Right? Because I always like the quote, the Spider-Man quote is, with great responsibility, what is it? Man. So the way I look at it is, if you have the ability, it is your responsibility to take care of things that need to get done. You know what I'm saying? If you are the best knower in an area, in your own circle, and it is your skills that is required to move you guys forward, then it is your responsibility to step up and be like, hey, I can. And many times we all like to sit down because we want somebody else to do it, but everybody wants to reap the rewards, and that is not righteous. We have to be able to look at these things and see what our own power is. Why do we have this power? Like I said, it's similar to knowledge, where if you accumulate all this vast knowledge, but you don't apply, you don't do nothing with it, and you don't share it, what good is it? What good is it to have all this power if you don't touch it? You don't do nothing with it. A lot of brothers will say that the power is the truth, right? But the way I look at it is that truth can give you power, in a sense that it's empowering for you to know the truth of yourself, because that's what it did to me. When I gained the knowledge of myself and I learned the truth of myself and my people, it empowered me to continue to look forward and embrace who I am even more. Not that I was afraid of who I was and wanted to, get a straightener and change the texture of my hair or anything like that. But it empowered me to not really care what others think. So when I had my dreads at the time, yes, I did. Yes, I had dreads. And it when they first started growing, it looked just like a black crown to me. Obviously, I got, brown hair or whatever, dark brown hair, but it just looked like a crown. And I was amazed by just how it just grew naturally. I didn't go to no salon. I didn't do none of that shit. I didn't dip them in and dye to get it blonde tips or nothing like that. Mine was just natural. So I had different sizes, and I was just intrigued by the beauty of it. Other people might find it no good. It's like, you got bad hair, pelo malo. And that's something in the Caribbean culture where we think that bad hair is this type of texture and that good hair is the, that straight hair. But we do know that this is the type of hair that you can style it anywhere, any type of way. If you got straight hair that's just dead, it just falls flat, you can't do nothing with it. You have to put in chemicals into that to be able to style it up in a specific way. You know what I mean? So those are the things that I started looking into and correcting people. It's like, I don't got bad hair. You're just used to looking like, you got to be clean shaven and all this type of stuff. Why? Because again, it comes with, it has to do with racism in the sense of like the way we look naturally is something that makes people feel uncomfortable. And when our own people that grow this type of hair, are in fear of what they naturally are, there's a lot of refinement that needs to go into place. You know what I'm saying? And many times people don't want to deal with that in that sense because it's gonna just burst their bubble, their reality that they created within themselves. The lies that they told. And many times you require that power to be able to move forward and progress. You have to be able to manage it appropriately. Like I said, sometimes you gotta come in a warm current, sometimes you gotta come in a cold current. And I know I've done this many times with other people. Like, I didn't raise my son to be religious or anything like that, but he has knowledge of religions. Obviously it's up to him now to be able to study it even more if he wanted to, just to get a better understanding. And over time I was told that I was a bad father because I didn't raise my son into religion. And obviously this is coming from somebody who's very limited and not knowing. So I came in a cold current, because it's one thing that I've done as a man, as a father, is be there for my son at all times. And I'm not talking about, here's $100, here's $200, and leave me the hell alone. No, I was there with my son at all times. And it infuriated me for sure, because this person did not know my struggles, and for them, just because I didn't raise them in the same religion as them, for them to say that I'm a bad father. Also, of course, I went in. Should I have done that? I look at it as yes and no. Could approach it a very different way, but I chose to deal with refinement in a cold current. Teach them that not everybody deals with the stuff that you deal with. And obviously, I'm not going to get into the story, but that's happened ever since I had the knowledge of myself, because my presence alone, knowing something that others are scared to know, because again, they're afraid of the unknown, it makes them feel uncomfortable. So it makes them want to challenge, from the very inquisitive types, just asking because they never heard of it, to the ones like, yo, so what if I tie you down, and I grab pork and I just squeeze all the oils down your mouth, you know what I'm saying? Like, then what? And it's like, really? Or what if you in the island, on a deserted island, and the only thing you can eat is pigs? Like, type of thinking like that, and obviously me, I like to entertain thoughts like that because, again, it's just a way to exercise that power. You don't use it, you lose it, and just being able to have that information and not just look stuff up so you can have a rebuttal, but just like, okay, let me get down to the level. And that's what the refinement allows you to do. It just come down and deal with them with equality. Meet them at their level. See how they're looking at it. Because to them, A deserted island that has pigs running around that should be on a mainland are in a deserted island where you always see is what, coconut trees or something like that. But okay, I'll humor that. And just being able to break it down to them and stuff like that so they can get better understanding that this is not something that I did, that I made a promise to somebody that passed away or anything like that, because a lot of people do stuff like that. Or because, you know, I'm a animal rights activist or anything like that. And don't get me wrong, I don't think any being should be mistreated whatsoever. Yes, I've seen those videos of those dudes body slamming chickens and stuff like that, and people still eat it. But the way they do it is like, don't show them the process. Don't show them what happens to them. They just want to see it all fried and everything else. You know what I'm saying? And it's I forget the word, and it's just, they want to ignore that fact. And the only thing they want to see existing is already prepared meat. And I'm not a vegetarian because of that. I'm a vegetarian because I chose to live a healthier lifestyle based on my experiences again. And I had the power to change regardless of what my parents thought at the time, regardless of what my extended family thought at the time. This was something that I chose to do for self. I wanted to deal with this refinement for me because I was refining my mental. And the next thing was to refine my physical. Right? I needed to bring myself back to this purest form. You know, one thing that you're gonna hear me say all the time is that we all are like Ferraris, right? All these sports cars or whatever you want to call it, whatever your favorite sports car is. And you have the potential to go 300 miles an hour at all times. But here you are thinking that you the man because you're going 65 faster than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So while you're supposed to be using, you know, grade A type of fuel, you're here using, you know, grade D. You know, what we got out here where I'm at, it's called Hafner's, right? And it's just your typical gasoline. But if you are a super sports car whatsoever, that's not what you use. So we got people out here refueling with poor product. And yes, you might be going faster than everybody else, but you're not going your full potential. And many times we have to deal with that refinement. Sometimes we have to deal with fasting, you know, cleansing, whatever you want to call it. We have to deal with that fasting because it is important. You have to be able to flush out all the toxins from your body. It is a great machine that you can empower it by feeding it the proper foods. And if you're eating poorly, the outcome is going to be poorly. Your state of mind is going to be foggy and stuff like that. And everybody else has these new drinks now made out of mushrooms or whatever it is. And instead of regular coffee, it's like, oh, this one is for defogging. No, why don't you look at what's causing your mind to be all foggy when you're thinking? What's causing you to be all jittery? What's causing you to be so tired? You know, they keep saying America runs on Dunkin'. We got to stop that way of life and thinking that we need all these things outside of ourselves and deal with proper refinement. But first, you have to require the power to be able to do so. And that power is within you. You have to just look at it and just grab that power and just go with it. And just do it. Get it done. You have to balance yourself out. You know, you have other people, oh, this is why I only drink alkaline water. I only drink. If everything that you do is just alkaline, and I know from Dr. Sebi and all these other holistic doctors looking, but the way I look at it, there has to be a balance. There's acidic and there's alkaline, which is basic, right? I grew up in my time, it was acids and bases. Alkaline came some time after, you know. And I know we live in a society where most of the things we eat is very acidic, so I can see the balancing that out. But if you are the type that you grow your own foods, consume everything that you grow only, and all it is alkaline, then at some point you're going to be at an imbalance. You get what I'm saying? So you got to balance it out, because we know that apples and oranges are acidic, so now you're not going to eat those things because they're acidic. No, they all have their benefits. They all have their purpose. And that's what it comes down to. Do you have the power, the ability to fulfill your purpose? And if you don't know what your purpose is, you got to be able to find that out yourself. You know what I'm saying? But it requires constant, constant refinement, because it's like washing a pot. First time you do, you get most of the stuff out, and then when you rinse, you realize there's more, so you gotta go again, and you gotta keep doing that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Sometimes it requires a lot, because remember, all that negative influence, all that dirt, didn't just pile up all at one time. You know, it's just layers that built up, because what we tend to do, we tend to just grab our problems and just throw them ahead. Because there's no throwing, metaphorically speaking. The path just goes forward. All right, all you could do is just throw it forward, because the past doesn't exist anymore. So you're throwing it ahead, and then let's say you throw it 50 feet away, and within those 50 feet as you're walking, you're building up more dirt latching onto you. So by the time you get to this problem again, let's say if you decide to deal with it there or throw it, now it becomes slightly a little bit more heavy. So each time it becomes more of a burden. Eventually you can't throw it away, and now when you're so weak, it's going to be overwhelming. You got to be able to deal with it head on when it approaches. Deal with it like that. That's why with my refinement, started again when I was young with the knowledge of self. I started meditating. I started doing a lot of things, and I'm happy for it. This is why I don't use no types. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do any of that stuff to deal with my problems. Because technically, you're not dealing with your problems when you use these things. It's kind of to numb those feelings, and I know how sometimes those emotions can be very overwhelming. But how are you going to grow? How is it that this is what you do, but when it comes to, let's say, with the whole vaccinations, and you tell people, when they had us all locked in, and it's like, oh, we got to be outside, our kids got to be outside, because that's how they build immunity and all this type of stuff. So you want them to build the natural immunity, which is good, all well and good. But yeah, you don't want to deal with your problems organically, naturally, in the sense of dealing with it right there. What's the point of going on a drunken stupor and just passing out? Or like I say on my birthday, why would I want to get so effed up where I'm not going to remember today? I'll wake up tomorrow. It's like I teleported. So why would I want to do that? You know what I'm saying? When your birthday is the most important day of the year. You know what I'm saying? And if it's that important to you, why would I want to skip it? So think about it like that. And I get it. Some people are going to say, oh, weed was used, by our ancient people. Yes. As a medium to be able to tap into something higher, to higher consciousness. I guarantee you, that's not people are doing. They just being high just because they want to. And again, you do what you want. You decide how your story goes. I'm building on how I see it, how I apply my mathematics, my power to be able to refine, and that's how I deal with it. Not that there's anything wrong with smoking, but people have addicting behaviors. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I'm talking about. Just like orange juice. What's wrong with orange juice? But if you're one of those types that's all you drink, you don't drink no water, it becomes a problem. Right? And every time that you wake up, you go ahead and you go do this. Before you go to work, you do this. During your break, you go ahead and do this. After work, you do this. You come home, you do it. Before you eat, you do this. After you shower, you go in. Before you go to bed, you do this. And I bet some of y'all, when y'all wake up in the middle of the night, let me go hit this, and then come back. If it's all you're doing at all times and you need to be this elevated, then there's something that you got to deal with at your base form. You got to come back and deal with that refinement. And don't deny yourself the chance to clean yourself up properly. Don't live this life of continuous, what's the word I'm looking for? Continuous is like robotic, low energy, and you just need every outside stimulants whatsoever. There should be something, again, it's to tap to a higher level of consciousness, to be able to deduce and break things down that it's embedded in our DNA, genetic information. And and if all you're doing is just like you just smoke and you just go to sleep or something, or to watch a movie, then you're not tapping into that. So you cannot use that excuse per se. To me, at least that's how I look at it. But either way, everybody's going to choose because again, only you can refine self. You know what issues you have deep inside, even if you share that with others. Only you truly know what that is, and you know how to acquire your power. You know where it is. You just got to go ahead and just remember where it is and what's within you. It's not outside of you. You're never gonna find your power outside of you. You know, because again, look at the definition. It's just the ability to put in work or to do the work. And how you gonna find that outside of you? All comes within. And then with that refinement, being able to bring it back to its purest form. And what is that? You. Right? If you are dealing with some cleansing, you go into the gym and stuff like that, be eating a lot of crazy, nasty stuff. You got to be able to clean that out of your system, flush that out, right? So, I want today for you guys to look at this degree of refinement and deal with the power appropriately, but always deal with it with an equality. Know when to and when not to, right? So I'll go ahead and continue to enjoy my physical degree today, and you guys enjoy your rest of the day. And with that, I'm gonna say peace.